If a woman is not married and doesn't have kids by choice, she ain't sad. And she might have a whole bunch of cats, but that's not a bad thing. What's up, guys? It's Devin Harrington, the average Gen Xer, and welcome back to my channel, where today we are taking a look at some posts over on a fantastic subreddit. Actually, two subs. One is Single and Happy, and the other is Single Women by Choice. And these posts are written by women who are not only child-free by choice, they are also partner-free by choice. And of course, society, by way of the internet, has plenty to say about women who refuse to do their duty and get married and produce the next generation. It's funny to me how there are so many people on this planet, and yet the vast majority of them don't realize that not all women want children. Not all women can have children. Not all women should have children. So let's take a look at some posts by these brave souls who refuse to do as they're told. But first, if you watch my channel, you know that every video I beg and plead with all animal lovers out there, please consider fostering or volunteering for your local animal shelter. It's a great way to do your part to help save the world. And this long creature over here is my foster Goldie that I've had for a few months, and she is a sweetheart, and I'm so glad to have her. She's still available for adoption. So if you love animals, please do your part to help save the world and consider volunteering or fostering. Thank you. Okay, so I have been thinking about making some content on this topic for a while because, of course, I have been neck deep in Reddit in all of these fantastic posts. And one big reason is I broke up with my last relationship. I was with for 4 years, and I did the breaking up. And it has been almost 3 years now since that I've been single. And I'm someone who has always loved being single. I love being by myself. I grew up the only girl in my family, so I always had my own room, and I like my privacy. I like my alone time. And so I have been kind of waiting for the urge to start dating again to hit me. And it's not happening. I am perfectly content. I just bought my first house by myself, and the guy that I was with a few years ago, we almost bought a house together twice. Long story, that's another video. And so the fact that I bought this house by myself, it was like the last thing, the last shoe to fall, that I realized, wow, I really don't need a guy for much, and that is becoming, because of what a shit show dating apps are these days. I mean, 20 years ago, I actually met quality men and had relationships on dating apps. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. And so a lot of women are just fed up. And it's not just older women in their 50s like me. I mean, I'm sure my age definitely contributes to the fact that I have done all the wild and crazy shit I'm ever going to do. I don't have a need to have a man around. And I am perfectly happy being by myself with my animals. So I was thinking, I don't know how many of you have heard about the Women's Holocaust. It's sometimes called that. It's basically in the 1500s, around that time in Europe, thousands and thousands and thousands of mostly women were burned for being witches. And I was wondering, back then, how many of those poor women who were accused of witchcraft were just women who didn't want to have a husband and didn't want to have kids and just wanted to live in their little cottage in the woods and feed the animals and do their thing. I mean, sounds great to me. And so I wonder, how many women have been put to death just because they didn't want to do the traditional thing? And I would bet it's a good percentage, because A lot of the women who were accused of witchcraft tended to be older women, women who were single, women who lived alone, that kind of thing. So back then, they tied you to a stake and burned you alive. Nowadays, if you are child free and partner free by choice, you just get raked over the coals on the internet. So let's check out some of these ladies and see what they have to say. From the sub Single Women by Choice, user Beyond the Matrix says, continued negative stereotypes of older single women. And I wanted to read this post first just because I'm so naive. I can't believe that it's the 21st century. Like, we're a quarter of a way through the 21st century, and there is still the old sad cat lady trope that gets talked about. And that doesn't exist. If a woman is not married and doesn't have kids by choice, she ain't sad. And she might have a whole bunch of cats, but that's not a bad thing. So she says, just venting, I know I shouldn't care. I love watching adult animation. Some of the writing is pretty clever. One show is Bob's Burgers. Oh my God, such a brilliant show. I don't really watch TV, but I have seen that show a bunch because I had a boyfriend that used to watch it. And the writing is fucking brilliant on that show. She goes on, but I effing hate the single sister character, Gail. She's annoying and has cats, and they also portray her as sometimes being desperate for a partner. They also have her having quirky interests, like she's desperate to find hobbies and interests to fill a void. Her character just perpetuates how single women are portrayed, especially older ones like me and me. And like I said, this is such bullshit. Like, why are we still acting like it's 1950? It's not. As progressive as this show is, I wish they made her character cooler and not so repulsive. LOL, vent over. She has a point. I mean, it's just a cartoon show, right? But it is perpetuating that stereotype that somehow if a woman gets over 40 or whatever and isn't married and doesn't have kids, that she's pathetic and sad. And I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, somebody please explain to me how women are only worth the title woman if they reproduce. It's just such nonsense. Flux My Capacitor, great screen name. Yes, it says a lot when men will immediately jump to the old single cat lady trope as if that is something we resort to as a last choice. It's more like, don't threaten me with a good time. And I swear to God, I had not read this post when I had come up with the title, Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time. So we are all on the same page, I'm glad to say. She goes on, it's pure projection on their part, as they are the ones who cannot stand being alone and therefore think we will be miserable if we don't settle for one of them. Yeah, and that has been the general consensus of society for the past 10,000 years or so. But that is not the case anymore. And I may be screaming into the void, but I will continue screaming because it needs to be completely not a big deal if someone like me chooses to have dogs instead of children. It should not be a big deal. And to a lot of people, it isn't, because child-free by choice is becoming so normalized. But there's still plenty of people who will jump on in the comments, and they love to tell a single child-free woman how she's going to die alone. You're going to die alone. Oh, well, who are you taking with you when you die? Because we all die alone. Unless you literally die in an accident where someone else dies with you, you're dying alone. It doesn't matter how many fucking people are standing around your deathbed. When you're in the hospital dying, like say I get to be old and I'm sick and I'm laying in my hospital bed dying and this is the end. The fucking last thing I want is a bunch of people standing around staring at me watching me die. I have said this before. If it comes to that, the only person I want standing next to my deathbed is whoever is handing out the morphine. And I mean that 100%. The value of your life is not determined by how many offspring you have standing watching you die. That's another 20th century bullshit notion that needs to go. Everybody, you'll read an obituary and it will say, of like a celebrity, oh, he died surrounded by friends and family, surrounded by loved ones. And you're laying there dying? I mean, maybe because I'm an introvert, I don't know, but fuck off. I don't want somebody watching me die. And even though there's all these people standing around watching you die, you're the only one dying. You're not taking any of them with you. So why we still talk about living a good life means you end your life dying in bed with your loved ones around you? That's not how I want my loved ones to remember me. Anyway, if I'm weird, please tell me. I know I'm weird, but if that's a off the wall thing to say, please tell me. Please let me know. Does anybody else feel like that? Like, I don't want people standing around my deathbed. I'm trying to die. I want to die in peace, Anyway, okay. Moving on. So over to the sub Single and Happy. And Freya Bobea, another great screen name, says, I feel like being single is more fulfilling than being in a relationship and easier. Yes, and you would be correct, Freya, because that is how it is. And she is right. Of course, it's easier to be single. Much easier. You don't have to consider anyone else's feelings when you're trying to figure out what to eat. You don't have to coordinate schedules with anyone. You don't have to get into arguments over someone leaving their fucking dirty clothes on the floor. Anyway, Freya says, just sharing my story, and maybe some of you can relate. I'm in my late 30s. I've had situationships, but never anything that lasted because I prefer being alone, and some insecurities and trust issues sprinkled in as well. Well, happens to the best of us. Then 3 years ago, I actually met a man who I stuck it out with. He is kind, supportive, understanding, gentle, and would take a bullet for me. Sounds good. He healed a part of me and made me feel truly lovable. That just warms my black heart. We had good times together. And yet all through the 3 years, I still had the itch to just be alone again. Oh God, I know that feeling. I know that feeling so well. She goes on, I love my solitude. I love my autonomy. I love having the bed to myself. Amen, girl. I love doing what I want when I want. I love not having to attend my partner's various family events. I love just being alone and have always had a rich inner life since I was a child. I can relate to that a lot too. I was always playing by myself when I was very little. I was an only child, and then I have all brothers, and I would make up skits and tell myself stories and write little stories. And I've always lived in my head. I've always had a vivid imagination. And I realize not everyone is like that. But if you are that kind of person, it certainly contributes to you being at ease when you're by yourself because you have all this fun stuff going on. She goes on, but this relationship wasn't all butterflies and roses. Well, no relationship is. We have some fundamental differences in what we want for the future. Also, different attachment styles. And it has been a point of contention over and over in our relationship. I told him from day one, I don't know if I will ever want to live with my partner as I love my alone time. And I also need a lot of time to myself. That's good. She was upfront about it. I mean, you don't often meet someone who just right out the gate says, hey, I don't know if I'm ever going to want to live with anyone. And that's kind of how I feel now. Like, I don't mind having a female roommate because she helps me pay my mortgage. But I would not want to live with a guy again. I've done it plenty of times. It's kind of like every other experience in life. When you've done something enough times and like you're satisfied, you've done it as well as you can do it. And then you're just done with it. It's like that for me. She goes on. He said he understood, but 3 years in, he tells me he thought I would change. I can't even honor that with a response. I mean, they should teach that in kindergarten. You can't change anyone but yourself. Right, kids? Who can you change? Only yourself. She goes on that he hates being alone. Oh, he wants to be in a partnership with a lot of quality time. Yeah, that's too bad. They're not compatible. And he sounds like a great guy, but he sounds like he's not the guy for her, especially since she wants to be alone. I also told him I never want kids, and I told him why. And in this discussion, he also asked me why I don't want kids, as if I hadn't explained this several times before to him. It's just crappy when I thought I found someone who could appreciate and accept my solitude, but then reveals he's actually thought I would change. He also doesn't really have any hobbies to keep him occupied, and I feel like I was his only source of entertainment and happiness besides his family. Oh my God. I know that feeling too. And that is just overbearing. If you are someone who really loves to be by yourself and all of that, to be with someone, and I mean, I speak from experience here because I've been with guys that their only hobby was laying on the couch smoking weed. And I mean, that's cool, but I'm going to the barn. I'm taking the dogs to the park. I'm going to drink margaritas with my bestie. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to yoga. I'm going to ballet. I have shit to do. I'm not going to lay on the couch with you and smoke weed after work all night. So yeah, being someone's only source of entertainment and socialization, no good. She goes on, there are some other issues in our relationship as well that I won't go into. We have essentially broken up, but are taking time apart for now to have space and reflect. I had a few tearful moments, mostly of guilt, making someone I love cry by initiating a breakup because I don't think we're right for each other long term. Yeah, that's sad. It's a sad story, but worked out for the best for both of them probably because he needs to be with someone more like him and she wants to be by herself. She goes on, I feel like society makes me feel like I'm wrong for wanting to be single. I don't think so. I think it's completely normal to want to be single at least some of your life. I mean, I do have a friend who is one of those girls that is always in a relationship. She broke up with a guy she was with for 8 years, and like the next week, she had 5 different guys she was dating. And that's fine. I'm not judging her, but it's funny to me that when I have broken up with someone, the first thought I have is, oh my God, I get to be alone. I get to be by myself. No one to bother me, no one to fight with, no one to argue. Yeah, society is built for pairs. I mean, I would say most humans like to be in a pair or a group of some kind, but not everybody. And we just got to normalize different ways of life. She goes on, I'm wrong for wanting to be single. It makes me feel like I will regret this decision, that true happiness only comes from being partnered. That's such bullshit. Fucking give me someone, anyone, define true happiness as opposed to untrue happiness. Because we're also told that we will never know true happiness until we have children. And we know that's not true for a lot of people. Some people it is, not everybody. And it makes me hesitant to officially say goodbye to a relationship with someone that really didn't do anything wrong, but that I feel just isn't right for me. He deserves someone that can meet his needs, and I deserve someone who can honestly appreciate my alone time. Or I can just be single and happy, as I have been for so many years prior. My mom says people come into our lives for a season or a reason. I do feel like I learned a lot from this relationship. Wow, she is a very self-aware little human. And I think she's absolutely correct. She did the right thing. Primary Plate said you're doing the right thing. Wanting your own space and independence doesn't make you wrong. Ending it, honestly, shows maturity and care for both of you. That's true. True happiness doesn't have to come from a relationship. Honoring your needs is the best choice. Yes. Words make the murder. Oh, sorry. Words maketh murder. Sounds like something from Shakespeare. And they said, As someone who has also walked away from two long term relationships, largely because she just wanted something that I simply did not have it in me to give, I feel for you. I understand the guilt in particular, and you're right about society doing everything in its power to make you feel like you're making the wrong choice. All I can say is, it does get easier, though you largely have to find that strength within yourself. But the good news is, as someone who has such strong independence to the point where you are turned off by people who do not have that independence, oh my God, I guarantee you have that strength. You're right that you are both better off if you feel this way. Trust me, there's no reversing your feelings on this one. Because believe me, I have tried. I wanted to just live my life in alignment with what everyone else thought I should do. And I was dating a very loving and supportive woman who was very good to me, and all my family and friends sure wanted me to keep it going. But there was one person there who did not. A person who, it turns out, is the only one whose opinion on the matter is relevant, and that person was me. You can fight against your heart and your instincts, but all you'll do is delay the inevitable and prolong your pain. Yes, always, always go with your gut. They go on. He's better off with someone who is willing to have him cling to them heavily, and you're better off without it. A lot of people out there genuinely do not know what to do with themselves and genuinely want to give themselves to others. Oh my God, get a life. I personally can't understand not having hobbies or personal interests, and I have so many that I eventually realized I don't even have time for a partner. I have multiple books I want to write, a whole lot more I want to read, photography, fitness, cooking experiments, etc. I don't need or even want a partner for any of that. Hugs to you, OP. Remember that the only person whose opinion on what you're doing with your life that matters is your opinion. I hope that wasn't too much of a word salad. And finally, so this is back on the Single Women by Choice sub, and it's by user OCD Girl 1093, who asks, is it normal to not want marriage? And once again, I say, 21st century. Why are we still not sure? Why do women have to question what they want? Yes, it's completely normal to not want marriage. And OCD Girl says, anyway, the idea of marriage scares me. Changing your last name you've had your whole life scares me. You don't have to change your last name anymore. I have a number of friends who are married and don't use their husband's last name. Maybe it's because I'm jaded and all my childhood friends are married now, and I feel like, I don't know, bitter. But when I see weddings, it almost makes me cringe. Oh, yes, me too. I would rather, I think, have dental surgery than get married in a big traditional wedding. The thought of that gives me anxiety too. Maybe because I'm an introvert, I don't know. But I work as an actress and I've worked as a singer professionally, and I went to school as an actor. So I'm used to being on stage, but something about that walking down the aisle, as Princess Diana said, like the lamb to the slaughter, that's what it makes me think of too. And that's what it traditionally was. Your father giving you away to your husband, so a different man can tell you what to do with yourself. She goes on. I also feel like changing the name you've had your whole life for a man, I don't know, what's the point? Unless you have kids. Any females feel the same? I always wanted to get married and have kids in my 20s, but I keep getting into relationships with men that waste my time and end up not wanting what they said they wanted. Toxic ones. Oh, I think we've all dated a number of those men. And women. Just feeling down and wasted a lot of years. You haven't wasted them. Worry I will never be able to be a mom. My life always just seems stuck. So this is someone who wants to be a mom, and you don't have to be married to have kids. You don't even have to be in a relationship to have kids. So if you really, really want to be a mom, you can do it on your own. Atomic Number commented, it is normal. I got married when I was 33, and it wasn't great. It definitely was not how I envisioned it. I divorced him. Yeah, because Girls, I'm talking about in America because that's where I was brought up. We're spoon fed Disney, happily ever after. The prince is coming to save you, and all of this stuff that is not reality. There is no happily ever after. There's no such thing. Happiness is fleeting. You're not meant to be happy 24/7. Your fucking brain would explode. They go on. Most of my friends remained married, but they did not seem thrilled with it. Mind you, we are in our early 50s now, and we've been friends for 35 to 40 years, so I've seen the whole trajectory of their marriages, and none of them are really happy. None of them have the sort of marriage we all hoped for when we were 30. When I think of all the female friends I have, not just the ones I've known forever, I can only think of one that has a really terrific marriage. Marriage, and I would add relationships in general, are a slog and often disappointing. That said, I am very happy to have a wonderful child out of that marriage, but I don't think I'd ever marry again. I do see the advantages to having companionship in old age, but it's just not that worth it to me to deal with a man in my house all the time. Yeah, that's a fucking drag. The Observist said, I'm nearly 39 and happily single. I have not dated much or had many serious relationships. I'm too used to the personal freedom of being single, and I'm also an introvert. So yes, not interested in marriage, and I don't regret feeling this way so far. Well, at 39, I don't think you will suddenly wish you had run out and dated every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Give Me Trills said, I'm the same way. If I found the right guy, maybe. However, I'm not looking. Same girl, same. Top Home said, I think it is normal, but women, I think this person English is not their first language, so let me get through this. Women have been pressured to believe they need a husband in their life, and it's almost like the woman's life purpose is to find a husband. It's not almost like it. It is like that. At least, just look at the past 100 years, the 20th century. You had to get out there and catch you a man, because in the first 3/4 of the 20th century, you couldn't own property. You couldn't have your own credit card, your own bank account. You needed a husband to be considered a real person, basically. They go on. For the men, it's like they're being trapped in a cage. If you believe in being unmarried, then more power to you. Don't let the situation of your friends change your mind. Plus, a lot of people don't marry for love, but for practical reasons like financial stability. And I mean, that's not a bad reason to get married. That is, what marriage has been about. The woman cannot support herself, so she has to find the best partner who will take care of her in fine style. And give her children, because it would be so embarrassing if you didn't have children. International Let said, life is pro-marriage propaganda. So to not be brainwashed by it is not normal to society, but it doesn't make it wrong. They are very right. I never even really thought of that most people are so brainwashed by society that they do think it's bizarre if you don't want to get married, if you're not out there looking for your soulmate. Another bullshit 20th century concept that doesn't exist. Okay, I know I said that was the last post, but I lied. This is the last post. William Flisgen said, staying single because I'm only attracted to toxic men. How well I can relate to that. I bet this person grew up with it, in an abusive situation of some kind. I know I grew up with an abusive stepfather, and that is definitely why I am attracted to toxic men, because when you grow up in the vibe of abuse of whatever level, that is what you become accustomed to, and that is what feels like home to you. And that is why I have always been attracted to the bad boys whose love I had to chase. Okay, they said, I'm also in therapy for 6 months by now after a breakup, which led me to being unemployed and almost homeless in a foreign country. Wow. I had to break up with the man who was the love of my life. Of course, not reciprocated. Is there any worse feeling than having the big heart for someone who just doesn't feel it with you? That is awful. And yes, I've been there. They go on. I spent the entirety of last year regretting a man who emotionally abused me, constantly criticized me, spoke badly of all the things that made me happy, looked down on my personality, made me feel bad about my body, never committed officially to me, and let me know at the end that he never actually loved me. What a fucking asshole. This year, I tried to give chances to wholesome guys. Oh, I wish I could do that too. I've tried. If you are attracted to toxic men, you go through a phase where you're like, okay, no more toxic men. I'm gonna look for the guy who's got a stable job, who's clean cut, yada yada yada. And if you know the secret to flipping the switch to make yourself attracted to the opposite of what you're attracted to, then please let me know. Because there is money to be made if you know how to do that. Okay, they go on. This year, I tried to give chances to wholesome guys who showed me the meaning of if he wanted to, he would. I received so many gifts. I received so much attention and validation. I met men who actually saw a future with me and wanted nothing but to respect and care for me. The problem? Me. I do not feel anything for this type of man, just friendship. Yes, even if they're attractive physically, it's not even about that. My ex was not objectively attractive, yet he is and always will be the love of my life. I just cannot feel attraction for someone who simply treats me well and doesn't low-key hate me. Oh my God. Oh, and yet it's true. The only man I've managed to feel a spark for after my breakup has been this alcoholic, unemployed 35-year-old who tried to push my boundaries, and our makeout session culminated in us falling down off our bar stools and making a fool of ourselves in front of everyone at the bar. But hey, that's the only man I managed to have a crush on since I left my abusive ex. It's really hard for me as a lover girl with lots to offer and a very high libido to have to abstain from men. But the last time I gave myself and loved completely, I ended up unemployed, homeless, and suicidal. I'm literally staying single to save my own life. That's a pretty profound statement because it could apply to so many women's situations. I'm staying single to save my own life. The idea of settling for a man I'm not attracted to just because he loves me more and treats me with respect makes me nauseous. But the archetype of the man I'm into, that I love more while I constantly have to work for his love, will never respect me enough to make me his wife. Anyone else relate? And Blanket Bomber said, maybe you like the chase and the thrill of it, never fully having something or feeling too comfortable. This is a random question. Do the men you like resemble the men you saw in movies you watched or liked? Oh, yeah, of course. Downtown Afternoon said, most men are toxic in one way or another, overt or insidious. I think that's unfair. I'm not here to bash men. Seriously, I'm not. I have always been boy crazy. Men are great. I love men. And a lot of them are toxic, but not all of them. And there are plenty of highly toxic women out there too. So let's be fair. Reasonable Mud said, same with women. And then someone who deleted their account said, this is a major part of why I'm single. I had a horrifically toxic upbringing. I was never modeled what a healthy relationship looks like. Same girl, same. And with my neurodivergence, it just isn't something I have ever really understood or gotten the hang of, though not for a lack of trying. When I finally realized a decade ago that finding a romantic partner is just one path of many to finding fulfillment, happiness, and peace, I felt truly free. Wow. So that's what I have for you today, guys. I would love to have your feedback. I actually put out a community post asking if anyone would be interested in this topic because I've been wanting to make some content on it. And I got more responses than I expected. So please let me know your thoughts. Are you a child-free, partner-free by choice woman? Are you married and have kids and are just fascinated by this subject? Let me know your thoughts. And what you think about this. I hate to say movement, but for lack of a better word, this growing movement of women just having fucking had it. That's how the 4B movement in South Korea came about, and that has now spread all across the world. There's actually a 4B subreddit. I would love to read some posts from there too. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by to hear me talk shit on the internet. I so appreciate everyone who comments and leaves such thoughtful, insightful, and hilarious things in the comments. It's great to have this little community. So I thank all of you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.